Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and I'm here to share a gripping, emotional story about Stacy, a woman who faced a heartbreaking betrayal from her own family. Stacy is 30 years old, a dedicated crisis manager with a laser-focused goal, saving enough money to buy her dream apartment. For 3 long years, she scrimped and saved, amassing $150,000 through sheer determination. She lived frugally, opting for instant ramen dinners instead of dining out, skipping tropical vacations with friends, and even passing up small luxuries like new clothes or fancy coffee. Every dollar she earned was a step closer to her dream of owning a cozy, independent home. Stacy's family, her parents, older brother Mike, and older sister Sarah, knew all about her savings plan. She shared her excitement openly, dreaming aloud about decorating her future space. Her parents seemed genuinely proud, often praising her discipline. Mike, her supportive brother, nicknamed her the responsible one in the family, always teasing her with a grin about her budgeting skills. But her sister Sarah, 33, was different. Whenever Stacy mentioned her savings, Sarah's face would tighten, her responses curt or dismissive, as if the topic made her uncomfortable. Stacy brushed it off at first, chalking it up to Sarah's stress, but that uneasy feeling lingered. Stacy's sister, Sarah, is married to Dave, and together they run a consulting business that's been teetering on the edge for years. The company, vaguely described as advising small firms, was plagued by constant problems. Clients paying invoices late, unpredictable cash flow, and frequent layoffs of staff. Stacy had helped them out in the past, lending $2,000 here, $3,000 there, small amounts to cover payroll or unexpected bills. She never asked for repayment, seeing it as helping family in need. But everything changed one Sunday evening at their monthly family dinner, a cherished tradition at their parents' cozy suburban home. The table was set with Mom's famous pot roast, its savory aroma filling the air, and Dad proudly uncorked a bottle of red wine he'd been saving for a special occasion. Laughter and chatter flowed as the family caught up, but the mood shifted abruptly when Sarah put down her fork, her expression serious. "Stacy, we need to talk about something important," she said, locking eyes with her sister. "Our business is in serious trouble. We're on the verge of losing everything, and we need $150,000, fast." The room went silent. Stacy's heart raced as she processed the number, exactly the amount she'd saved for her apartment. Her mind spun with disbelief. That was her entire dream, every sacrifice, every late night at work. She took a sip of wine to steady herself, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze. Mom's anxious, Dad's expectant, Mike's averted. Stacy's instinct as a crisis manager kicked in, and she tried to approach the situation logically. "Sarah, instead of throwing money at the problem, why don't I help you reorganize?" she offered calmly. "I can review your financials, identify where you're losing money, and create a plan to restructure your debt or streamline operations. That's what I do for a living." But Dave, who'd been quiet until now, cut her off sharply. "We don't need your advice, Stacy. We know our business better than you do. We just need capital." Sarah's voice grew desperate. "We're family, Stacy. This is about helping us when we're drowning. Please." Stacy's chest tightened. She looked around the table, hoping for support. Mom and Dad sat frozen, their forks abandoned. Mike stared at his plate, clearly uncomfortable. The silence was suffocating. Stacy took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. "Sarah, I can't give you all my savings. That $150,000 is 3 years of sacrifice. I've given up so much to build my future." Sarah's face flushed with anger, and she pushed her chair back abruptly. "Fine, I guess we know where we stand," she snapped, grabbing her coat. Dave followed her out, slamming the door. The rest of the dinner was painfully awkward. Mom sighed heavily, shaking her head. Dad muttered about family loyalty. Mike tried to change the subject, but the tension hung like a storm cloud. As Stacy left, Mom pulled her aside. "You could have handled that better, Stacy. Sarah's struggling." Stacy drove home, her emotions in turmoil, guilt for upsetting Sarah, but anger at being pressured to sacrifice her dream. A week after the disastrous dinner, Stacy was gearing up for the annual family party, a big event that brought everyone together. parents, siblings, spouses, kids, and in-laws. Despite the fight, she hoped it could be a chance to mend things. She went all out, contributing $1,500 to cover catering, decorations, and even a bouncy castle for the kids. She spent hours picking out a perfect gift for Sarah's youngest daughter, Emma, who'd just turned 7. A deluxe art set with vibrant paints and sketch pads, something Emma had been begging for. Stacey imagined Emma's smile and hoped it might soften Sarah's heart. She was determined to show her commitment to the family, even after the argument. But on Tuesday morning, her phone rang, shattering her plans. It was Mom, her voice unusually flat. "Stacey, I have bad news. We're cancelling the party. Sarah says she doesn't want to come if you're there, and Mike thinks it's pointless without her." Stacey felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Her stomach churned as she gripped the phone. "Mom, I offered to help Sarah. I just couldn't give her everything I've saved." There was a long pause. "I think you made your choice, Stacey," Mom said coldly. "Now we all have to live with the consequences." She hung up before Stacey could respond. Devastated, Stacey sat on her couch, staring at the wrapped art set, feeling betrayed and isolated. Her family was punishing her for protecting her future. The week after the cancellation was a blur. Stacey threw herself into work, but her thoughts kept circling back to her family. Guilt gnawed at her. Had she been too harsh with Sarah? But her logical side stood firm. Throwing money at a failing business wouldn't solve anything. By Friday, she couldn't take the distance anymore. She decided to visit her parents, hoping to bridge the gap. She stopped at a downtown bakery to pick up Mom's favorite apple cinnamon pie, its warm, sweet scent filling her car as she drove to their house. It was Saturday morning, the day the party was supposed to happen, and Stacey felt a pang of sadness for the celebration they'd all miss. But as she pulled into her parents' driveway, her heart stopped. The street was lined with cars, Mike's silver Honda, Sarah's blue minivan, and 2 unfamiliar sedans. Through the front window, she saw movement, people laughing, balloons bobbing. She heard music and the joyful squeals of children. Her hands shook as she realized the truth. They hadn't cancelled the party. They'd deliberately excluded her, lied to keep her away. The betrayal cut deeper than anything she'd ever felt. She sat in her car, clutching the pie box, her mind racing with shock and anger. Stacey's rage propelled her out of the car. She grabbed the pie and marched to the front door, using her key to let herself in. The living room was a festive scene, balloons in bright colors, streamers draped across the ceiling, a table laden with food and drinks. Her entire family was there, Mom and Dad, Mike and his wife Jenny with their 2 kids, Sarah and Dave with their 3 children, and 2 older couples she assumed were in-laws. For a moment, no one noticed her standing in the doorway, pie in hand. Then Jenny looked up, her eyes widening. "Oh," she whispered. The room fell silent, every head turning toward Stacey. The adults wore guilty expressions, except Sarah, who smirked smugly. Well, look who decided to show up," Sarah said loudly, her tone dripping with mockery. Dave whispered something to her, and she laughed, a cruel, triumphant sound. Stacey's heart pounded as she scanned the room, seeing the people she'd loved her whole life, people she'd bought gifts for, helped move, babysat for, all complicit in this lie. Mom leapt up, rushing to Stacey's side. "What are you doing here?" she hissed, grabbing her arm and pulling her toward the kitchen. Dad followed, shutting the door behind them. "You can't be here, Stacey," Mom said urgently. "We didn't cancel the party, we just decided you shouldn't come." Stacey's voice trembled. "You lied to me." Dad shifted uncomfortably. "We thought it'd be better this way. Sarah doesn't want to see you, and we didn't want drama." Stacey's anger surged. "Better for who? I gave you $1,500 for this party. What about me?" Mom shrugged dismissively. Then Dad's tone turned threatening. "If you make a scene and mention our finances, we'll never speak to you again." Stacey knew their secret. She'd helped them invest in tech stocks last year, earning them nearly $200,000, a fact they'd hidden from Sarah. Stacey felt a wave of clarity. These weren't the parents who'd raised her to value honesty and family. They were choosing Sarah's tantrum over her. "Fine," she said coldly, turning to leave the kitchen. As she crossed the living room, Sarah called out, "Bye, Stacy. You're not welcome here." Her voice was gleeful, as if she'd won a game. Stacy paused at the door, looking back at Sarah, lounging on the couch with Dave's arm around her, that smug smile still plastered on her face. "You're right," Stacy said evenly. "I'm not." She walked out, the door clicking shut behind her. She drove home in a blind rage, her hands shaking so badly she could barely grip the steering wheel. The faces of her family flashed in her mind: guilty, complicit, cruel. When she got to her apartment, she was trembling with fury and hurt. To calm herself, she took a cold shower, the icy water grounding her. Then she brewed mint tea and sat on her couch, trying to process the betrayal. The worst part wasn't the lie, it was that everyone was okay with it. They'd planned this behind her back, probably even laughed about fooling her. That night, Stacy saw Sarah's Facebook post. A photo of the party, everyone smiling around the dining table, with the caption, "Only worthy and beloved people deserve an invitation." The words felt like a knife to her heart. The Facebook post unleashed a flood of comments. "Where's Stacy?" their cousin Michelle asked. "Is Stacy okay?" wrote a friend of Sarah's. Sarah's response was chilling. "We've decided certain family members' recent behavior has been unworthy, so we're distancing ourselves temporarily." Stacy's blood boiled when she saw that Mom and Dad had liked Sarah's comment, publicly endorsing her humiliation. That was it. She snapped. Opening Facebook Messenger, Stacy typed a message to Sarah. "If you need money so badly, ask Mom and Dad. Did you know they have nearly $200,000 in their investment account? Money I helped them make, by the way." She hit send, her heart racing with defiance. The message went from sent to delivered to read almost instantly. Stacy waited for a furious reply, but none came. An hour later, she refreshed Facebook. Sarah's post was gone. Stacy could only imagine the chaos her message had unleashed. Sarah must have confronted their parents, demanding answers about their hidden wealth. Feeling a mix of satisfaction and exhaustion, Stacy decided she was done with their toxic games. She blocked everyone, Mom, Dad, Sarah, Mike, on every platform, cutting off their ability to guilt-trip or manipulate her further. For the first time, she felt a glimmer of freedom. 2 weeks of blissful silence followed. Stacy focused on work, her days filled with client meetings and strategic planning, free from family drama. She started browsing apartment listings again, rekindling her excitement for her original goal. But one Tuesday evening, her peace was shattered by aggressive pounding on her apartment door. She was in pajamas, watching a sitcom, when the noise startled her. Peering through the peephole, she saw Mom and Dad, their faces twisted with anger. "Stacy, open this door right now." Dad bellowed. "We know you're in there." Mom shouted. Stacy's heart raced, but she stood her ground. "Whatever you have to say it out there," she called through the door. Mom's voice was shrill. "You had no right to tell Sarah about our private financial business." Stacy almost laughed at the irony. "Oh, so now it's private, but my money was everyone's business." Dad's tone grew accusing. "Because of you, Sarah's demanding we give her the money. She's not speaking to us, won't let us see the grandkids. She calls us hypocrites." Stacy felt a spark of vindication. "Well, she's not wrong." Mom screamed, "This is all your fault. You need to fix this." Stacy's voice was steady. "How is this my fault? I didn't tell you to lie to me or exclude me from the party. You made those choices." Dad pounded the door again. "You stirred up trouble by telling Sarah about our money. Call her and straighten this out, or we'll never forgive you." Stacy peered through the peephole, seeing their furious faces, and made a decision. "I don't want your forgiveness. I'm done with all of you. Get away from my door, or I'll call the police." They argued in whispers for a minute before Dad said, "Come on, Linda. She's not going to help." Mom shouted, "This isn't over, Stacy," as they left. That night, Stacy lay awake, replaying the confrontation. She was done being the family's scapegoat. The next morning, she called her boss about a transfer she'd been considering. a promotion to supervise the crisis management team at their Denver branch. The position was still open, with better pay and a fresh start far from her family's drama. Within days, she accepted the offer and began packing her life into boxes. She found a charming apartment online in Denver, with hardwood floors and big windows, and arranged for a moving truck. She didn't tell her family she was leaving, having changed her phone number after her parents' visit to avoid further harassment. Moving day was bittersweet but liberating. Stacy drove behind the moving truck for 12 hours, the open road stretching before her like a promise of freedom. Denver was everything she'd hoped for: crisp mountain air, stunning views, and a clean slate where no one knew her past. She threw herself into her new role, earning respect from her team, and started making friends at local coffee shops and hiking trails. 3 months later, she achieved her dream. She bought a 2-bedroom apartment with a modern kitchen and breathtaking mountain views. Standing on her balcony, keys in hand, she felt a surge of pride. This was hers, earned through her own strength. Life in Denver was good, but one evening, an email notification pinged on Stacy's laptop. It was from Sarah. Stacy stared at the subject line, "I'm sorry," for a long time, torn between deleting it and reading it. Curiosity won. The email began, "Dear Stacy, I hope you're doing well. I know we haven't spoken in months, and I know I hurt you deeply. I want to apologize for my part in everything." Stacy read on, stunned. Sarah admitted Stacy was right about their business. After the fallout with their parents, she and Dave had taken Stacy's advice, sitting down to scrutinize their finances. They'd been overspending on unnecessary expenses, fancy office space, redundant staff, and had ignored their mounting debt. They cut costs, let go of unneeded employees, and restructured their loans. It was painful, but the business was now growing steadily. Sarah revealed a bombshell. Mom and Dad had encouraged her to ask Stacy for the $150,000, claiming Stacy had more than enough and should help family. Sarah hadn't known about their $200,000 investment account until Stacy's message. When she confronted them, they dismissed her, saying their money was different and off-limits for retirement. The argument fractured their relationship, and Sarah hadn't spoken to them since. She wrote, "Our family is a mess now. Mike's still talking to Mom and Dad but not to me, blaming me for starting this. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm sorry. I was too proud and scared to listen to you. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." Stacy read Sarah's email 3 times, her emotions swirling. Part of her missed her sister and her nieces and nephews, picturing their faces at past family gatherings. But another part couldn't trust Sarah yet. What if this was a ploy, a setup for another demand? After days of reflection, Stacy wrote a brief reply, "I got your email. I'm glad your business is doing better. I moved to Colorado for work and need time before seeing family, but I appreciate the apology." Sarah responded quickly, respecting Stacy's boundaries. Since then, Sarah has emailed every few weeks, sharing light updates, her kids' school projects, a funny story about Emma's art set, holiday greetings. She includes photos, which Stacy quietly enjoys, seeing her nieces and nephews grow. Stacy rarely replies but saves every email. 6 months later, Stacy's thriving in Denver. Her apartment is her sanctuary, filled with plants and books, with a view of the Rockies that never gets old. Her job is fulfilling, her friends are supportive, and she's free from the guilt and manipulation that once weighed her down. She started seriously house hunting again, dreaming of a permanent home. Will she reconnect with Sarah? Maybe one day, as an aunt to her kids, but not yet. Mike. She's still hurt by his silence, his choice to take sides. Her parents. Their lies and blame cut too deep, and forgiveness feels distant, if not impossible. For now, Stacy's building a life she loves, one where she's enough, just as she is. So, what do you think? Was Stacy right to protect her dreams, or should she try to forgive her family? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if this story moved you, and subscribe for more real-life dramas. I'm Sarah, and I'll see you next time.